we're really just going outside. We're using our senses. We're looking at things. We're seeing different colors. We're taking a deep breath in of this fresh air. We're smelling the flowers, literally smelling the flowers as we go. We're touching grass. We're feeling the smooth rocks by the river and making those observations. That's just such a critical component of the scientific method, scientific practices. And so just showing students this is how you do science. Anyone can do science.
Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion are simple: to highlight the incredible nonprofits that make our communities stronger. Each episode is a chance for these organizations to tell their story in their words, sharing not just what they do, but why it matters to the people they serve, to their supporters, and to all of us who believe in the power of community. Through podcasting, we hope to amplify their voices, inspire connection, and give them one more tool to impact the hearts of donors, partners, and neighbors alike. This work is made possible through the generous support of our incredible partners: Cap Trust, offering fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations; Western Health Advantage, a local not-for-profit health plan that believes healthcare is more than coverage. It's about caring. CORE, Executive Leadership and Comprehensive Support Services. They work in it so you can work on it. And Five Star Bank, a local, trusted advisor to community nonprofits for over 25 years. Today, we're getting outside the four walls of the classroom with an organization that believes some of the most powerful learning happens when kids can see, touch, smell, explore, and experience the natural world for themselves. Sierra Nevada Journeys has been creating outdoor science education experiences for nearly 20 years, reaching more than 30,000 young people each year through programs in Sacramento, Reno, and at its residential outdoor education camp in the Sierra Nevada. I'm joined by CEO Sean Hill and Advancement Officer Corrie Calderon, who share how a simple question from a child at Lake Tahoe helped launch the organization, why access to nature and STEM education matters so much, and how a 3-hour field trip can completely change the way a student sees themselves and the world around them. We'll also talk about Sierra Nevada Journey's remarkable acquisition of roughly 1,500 acres of protected forest, the transportation and scholarship barriers that still keep some students from participating, and what it will take to make these experiences available to even more kids. This is Sierra Nevada Journeys. Sean Hill, Corrie Calderon, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Thanks for having us, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm excited because what you do is so different from the norm of who we have in the studio. They're indoors. And I would say 85, 90% of the people we speak with are indoor organizations. You are all outdoor. And I like when I see the staff on some of these organizations, because you look at their pictures as you define the staff, and somebody's out riding a horse, somebody's on a all-terrain vehicle of some sort, somebody's in the water in a kayak, somebody's hiking a mountain. It's just great to see that everybody's living what they do for a living, which is really neat. So, Sean, there's people that would kill to have your job. They would love to be outside, not doing construction, but actually in the environment in some way, shape, or form. If I'm not mistaken, the organization's 20 years plus now?
That's right.
Okay. And the history of its genesis is really, really unique. I've told the story a million times because it's so funny to think of that perspective. So I'm going to have you share it because I think it'll add a lot more credibility to the story anyhow.
Great. Yeah, I love talking about Sierra Nevada Journeys. So I'm happy to tell that story. We are almost in our 20th year. We were actually founded in 2006, but I think we got our nonprofit status in 2007. So we're in that 20-year anniversary mode right now. Our organization was founded by a gentleman, Jonathan Mueller, who was working with a group of students from Northern Nevada, and actually they were at Lake Tahoe. And it was an outdoor education program with a similar organization. And one of the students in that group asked Jonathan, are there sharks in that ocean? And of course, the student's looking at Lake Tahoe. So we call that the big aha moment in our history. And Jonathan, from there, saw that there was an issue there. There were multiple issues there. You can think, scientific literacy, a child never having been to the lake before, despite living close to it, having that natural connection and understanding those natural systems. And so that's kind of our origin story at Sierra Nevada Journeys. Jonathan was actually the person that hired me. I've been with the organization since 2009. And in those early days, we were doing youth outdoor education and, of course, scientific literacy. My pathway to the organization, I actually was a science major as an undergraduate. And environmental science was my focus because I like to spend time outdoors. I think you can trace back, for a lot of people, a transformative experience in nature that has guided their pathway. And so that certainly happened to me. I had a backpacking trip in the Grand Canyon in high school and decided I wanted to study the environment. And so after I graduated with my undergraduate degree, I joined a program called Teach for America. And I was a high school science teacher. I was a high school biology teacher, actually, in inner city Houston, Texas. And I was working at a giant school, a giant high school, and my classroom had no windows inside of it. And I had 3 periods a day because we were on a block schedule, and then 3 the next day. And it was kind of depressing for me. It wasn't a great place for my students. And I started to take my kids outdoors whenever I could, my classes. I would look for reasons to do a lab in the outdoors, to study something outside. And people are looking at me kind of crazy because Houston, Texas is pretty warm.
Yes.
It's I think the humidity is higher than here in Sacramento.
Not to mention the humidity.
Yeah, not to mention the humidity. And so, but we did it, and you know what? The kids were engaged. They were the most engaged I had ever seen them. And so I actually decided to kind of point my career in this direction. I looked into, is there something here about getting kids outside and about outdoor education? And it turns out there is. And so I found a graduate program back in Colorado. We were joking earlier, it's got a really long title, but I got a master's in science in human dimensions of natural resources. And through that program, I worked in a fellowship with an outdoor education nonprofit in Colorado. And I really found this work. And so, back in 2009, master's degree in hand, I went and I looked for a place that was doing this kind of work because that's kind of where my heart was. And I knew that there was impact to be made here. And that's when I met Jonathan and I heard about Sierra Nevada Journeys. And, fast forward, I've been here now, 17 years ago? Yeah. And have been really pinching myself the whole time. As you mentioned, what a wonderful position to be in. What a wonderful, I wake up every day truly believing in the work that we do. Yeah. So I'm very fortunate.
And getting to experience it at the highest level from the start. I mean, 3 years in basically is origination.
I mean, and when I started, I started as an educator. I had my science background, I had a teaching background. And so I started in the organization, boots on the ground, in the outdoors, which of course was part of it too. Yeah. I wanted a lot of people that are drawn to working with Sierra Nevada Journeys love to spend time in the outdoors. But it was early days in the organization. I've worn a lot of hats over the years and just, again, really fortunate and privileged to still be a part of the organization. Yeah. Absolutely.
4 walls, no windows to no walls, all windows.
That's right. Exactly. No walls. And, it's with that, there's a lot of barriers that go away with what you can do with a group of kids.
Sure. Yep. We'll get into that now.
Yep.
So science education, science literacy, these can be pretty heady descriptions of what you do and for what the programs are. But who is it you serve when you're talking about the science and the biology and the water and the air and the outdoors?
I don't know. Is it heady? Corrie, what do you think?
Yeah. So we were reflecting on this and, these concepts seem complex. And what we try to do at Sierra Nevada Journeys is make this type of education really accessible to students. And so we're hoping to engage these students who have historically lacked access to high quality STEM education, who haven't had these outdoor experiences, who are underrepresented in STEM fields, and really show them science isn't it's not that hard. We're really just going outside, we're using our senses, we're looking at things, we're seeing different colors, we're taking a deep breath in of this fresh air, we're smelling the flowers, literally smelling the flowers as we go. We're touching grass, we're feeling the smooth rocks by the river and making those observations. That's just such a critical component of the scientific method, scientific practices. And so just showing students this is how you do science. Anyone can do science. So that's kind of how I see us get that buy-in to these more complex concepts. Of course, we try to address next generation science standards, but really the pathway to that is just showing students all you have to do is just look around.
And it's amazing to me to think, just 90 miles away, some of these students' children have never seen the river,
Yeah.
much less the lake or the mountains or snow or wildlife. I mean, so many things that they just don't get exposed to by nature of the environment they live in.
Right. Yeah. And, a lot of people know about Sierra Nevada Journeys because we have a camp in the mountains, and it's the site of a lot of great programming that we do. So that camp in the mountains in the Sierra Nevada is one aspect of our programming. We also have programming in the schools. We're taking kids to local natural areas on the American River, different places around the community here, and we're trying to reach students where they are. If your school participates in an overnight program at our camp in the mountains, awesome. If not, we're going to come to you and we're going to take you to these other spaces and teach you, again, this outdoor education, science literacy. There's a lot of youth development, team building, leadership that go into our programs as well. But those are the two main ways that we teach youth through a classroom outreach program and then, of course, at our camp.
And that's a perfect segue because that really is what the next question is. Tell me a little bit about the programs. What are the programs that you offer? And what do you find to be the most popular?
Yeah. Well, Corrie was recently a program director, so I'd love for Corrie to talk about our Classrooms Unleashed program.
Yeah. So similar to Sean, I have some origins with Sierra Nevada Journeys. I've been with the organization for 8 years, and most of that time was on the education team. So I started as an educator myself, an intern actually, while I was doing my environmental science degree. We have very similar backgrounds here, and I wanted to get outside for my job, and so kind of got into it that way. But yeah, and it led me to eventually be the program director here in Sacramento, overseeing our main program, Classrooms Unleashed. And so we're going into classrooms, as Sean said, and we've taught grades kinder through 6th with different standards aligned curriculum, and we're taking them to these different field sites that are right in their backyard. So along the American River Parkway, or at different nature preserves in the area. And so yeah, these programs are so critical to these schools, and we see such a high need. We have some really dedicated teachers who are really involved with us, and just word of mouth has spread about these programs, and they see the impact they have, and they're a little more accessible than sending kids 2.5 hours away up to camp. And so we've had a wait list probably every school year for our Classrooms Unleashed program, where the teachers love it and they talk about it among their peer groups, and we're just we want to keep engaging more and more students in Sacramento specifically, and so we're hoping to. There's a lot of potential there, and we hope to expand more with that program in particular.
That it's not requiring that 2.5-hour drive up into the mountains, because we do have nature here, and we're blessed with this American River, a confluence of both the Sacramento American rivers, and the trail, and it makes it easy to get into that parkway and take the kids in a safe environment. The fact that you're here also allows them to see the program from a different perspective. This is their backyard.
Yeah.
And again, as we said, there's kids who have never seen it here.
Yeah.
Literally 2 miles away.
That's right.
They just aren't exposed. And the fact that you can do that is, I think, so beneficial to those children to know that this exists, and it's an important part of life.
Yes.
So as we look at those programs, you mentioned the schools, so obviously there's involvement with the schools. Who are some of the other people that you collaborate with?
Well, the schools are kind of first and foremost for Sierra Nevada Journeys. We work with all the school districts in the Sacramento area, or most of the school districts in the Sacramento area. And we typically have that relationship at the teacher level. So the teacher is the one that is getting the liability waivers signed and is getting the buses taken care of. And so the teacher really needs to be bought in to providing this enrichment experience for their students. And so we've developed relationships with teachers at schools. That's kind of our ground zero for relationship development. Dozens of schools. Hundreds of schools. In addition to the school relationships, our camp, and I mentioned, you're right. It is so great that we can reach students where they are 2.5 miles from their backyard or whatever it is. But our camp is near the headwaters of the Feather River, which is the largest tributary of the Sacramento River. And so when we do get students from this region up to our camp, we're teaching them about where their water comes from. And we're teaching them about those critical mountain environments. But up at that camp, we have a great partnership with the local district, Twin Rivers Unified, and they send all of their 6th grades up to our camp for an overnight outdoor education experience through the year. And that's a program that we have been nurturing for 5 or 6 years. We've been working with that district and all of their 6th grades. In addition to the Twin Rivers program, there are community partners that come up to camp as well. Folks like the Youth Development Network, United Cerebral Palsy, Improve Your Tomorrow. We've done programs with the California Endowment, a program called Camp Phoenix. So there's a lot of partnerships that have formed with folks utilizing that outdoor space up at the outdoor education camp.
And I appreciate you saying that, Sean, because you addressed a couple of different things. Yes, there's an underserved community that you're working with, those kids in the environment that just don't get the exposure. But UCP is children with disabilities. And there's another entire group of people who don't have the ability or the flexibility or the capability to get into the environment.
It's another underserved population.
Yes.
And that, one of our greatest partnerships, and this will give a little bit of insight into that program with UCP, is with the Sierra Health Foundation. The Sierra Health Foundation are the ones that actually built this camp in the mountains, and they built it originally so that it could be a space for groups that served populations with disabilities. And when Sierra Nevada Journeys took over management of that camp in partnership with the Sierra Health Foundation, we were committed to continuing to run those programs and offer those services and open up the camp to this outdoor education model for school districts as well.
It's amazing how many times that comes up. Just the last episode we did with another organization here, Sierra Health donated a building for them.
Oh, yeah.
And we've had Chet Hewitt in here, just phenomenal. Here they are coming up again in a completely different situation where you think, Sierra Health, what are they doing? It's about health. The environment is your health.
That's right.
If you're not experiencing it, you can't be fully well-rounded, fully healthy, because it's air, it's nature, it's sounds. And as you were talking earlier, Corrie, it's all the visceral elements. It's every sense, that comes into play.
Physical activity, sunshine. I mean, there are real indicators of health and outcomes. And one area of study that has been really interesting that we've looked at is positive experiences and how a certain number of positive experiences can actually work to negate traumatic experiences within youth. And so I agree with you, Jeff, and that's, I think, why Corrie and I are drawn to this type of careers, because we recognize those benefits of being in the outdoors, and we sought them for ourselves. And so I love being able to, in many cases, introduce that to kiddos that don't know that yet.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And just naturally, you think about somebody who is upset. What are you going to do? I need to go for a walk.
Right.
It says it right there.
That's right.
Get a breath of fresh air.
Exactly. I just got to get out and get my head cleared.
Smell the roses.
Right? Right? How about funding? How is the organization funded?
Yeah, and I thank you, Corrie. I'll take this one too.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking
thank you.
all.
Please.
I do know this pretty well because as CEO, it is my daily. And I will say that while I got into this field to spend time in the outdoors, it's been harder and harder to spend time in the outdoors the higher I've gotten into the organization. But that's a sacrifice that's well worth it. Our funding model. So many nonprofits rely wholly or almost wholly on fundraising. We have the benefit of having an earned income model, which is program fees for programs that we're doing with schools, for our community partners. And our earned income is about 70% of our annual revenue.
That's incredible.
It is incredible because the other 30% is fundraising. And it's kind of like biodiversity. The more diverse your streams of funding are, the healthier your system is. And so of that 30% of fundraising, we've always been strong with foundations. We do see we've had a few big government grants in our history, the California Natural Resources Agency, the city of Sacramento. Oftentimes grants are fleeting as, grant outcomes change. Yeah. So we do see opportunity with corporate giving and with individual giving, especially given our mission. I have friends that work for the Nature Conservancy, and I know about the Sierra Club, and I know about those programs in particular that a lot of their fundraising is individual giving because people give to what they see as legacy work. And we definitely, Corrie and I are in agreement. We definitely think that the work we are doing is legacy work. But anyway, that's kind of how broad level how we're funded.
I want to ask you about something that's relatively recent, a few acres.
Wow.
And then that's going to come into funding in some way, shape, or form, and legacy because they're in perpetuity.
Well, Sierra Nevada Journeys is, as we mentioned, almost 20 years old. We started out in the back of a climbing gym in Reno, Nevada, when Jonathan, after he'd had that trip up at Lake Tahoe.
The ocean?
Right. The ocean that wasn't the ocean.
The mountain ocean.
Right.
Yes.
And in those early days, we were actually doing an overnight program at Camp Galilee, which is on the east shore of Lake Tahoe. And then we entered into a partnership with the Sierra Health Foundation, and we took over management of the camp property, and that was circa around 2009. And that's in Plumas County near the Feather River. And the Sierra Health Foundation owned a great big chunk of land up there, and they built this beautiful camp. Well, in about 2017, the Sierra Health Foundation let Sierra Nevada Journeys know that they were going to sell the property. And so we decided that it was in the community's best interest if we tried to maintain ownership and management of the property of the land of the camp. The last thing we wanted to see is the camp turn into a neighborhood or a golf course or something, which those things are great, but this is a special area that we wanted to preserve for generations. So Sierra Nevada Journeys raised enough money to purchase the camp property in 2020, and with it, around 500 acres. Now, we closed in the middle of the pandemic. We closed that partnership and with a ton of support from Sierra Health Foundation. And then about 2 years later, another 1,000 acres hit the market when Sierra Health decided to sell that property as well. And Sierra Nevada Journeys over the last several years has been working with the Feather River Land Trust, another wonderful nonprofit organization, on a deal and an agreement whereby Sierra Nevada Journeys would inherit or acquire that 1,000 acres just next door to camp, and the Feather River Land Trust would be able to maintain a conservation easement on that property. So it is perpetually conserved forests in our mountains. And it is now, we just closed this deal in December, barely 6 months ago. It is now the site of future outdoor learning with Sierra Nevada Journeys.
Isn't that awesome?
It's been incredible.
And as you're talking, you're sharing more collaborative partners that just keep coming out. They don't come top of mind instantly because you think of the obvious ones. But in your space, look at the connectivity you've got and the collaborative efforts that are there to support and engage those in the area. And that money came from, I'm imagining, predominantly donations and funders who say we want to support this?
The money for these types of projects, acquisition projects, typically in the state of California comes from some big agencies that we've all heard of, including CAL FIRE.
Oh, even better.
Right. The Wildlife Conservation Board, Sierra Nevada Conservancy. These are all major state agencies that have contributed and invested in this amazing partnership and story.
Oh, not to mention, you're going to maintain it.
That's next up.
The bit of the downside is you have to take care of it. Here's 1,000 acres, now take care of it.
Well, Sierra Nevada Journeys has definitely grown up in the last several years. We have taken on the management of the camp, which means we've, inherited the costs associated with upkeep of over 20 buildings and the paved roads and the trails, and we have a high ropes challenge course. And this is a responsibility that we've taken on gladly and head on with eyes wide open. And but there is import here at this moment as we've acquired this next 1,000 acres to make sure we can truly set this organizational up for generational success. So that's the next step on our plate.
Back to legacy.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, the legacy of the protected forest, the legacy of all the kids that we're serving and their futures that are being impacted, all of that.
What's an annual budget look like for you?
Annual budget is around $5 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Substantial.
We have turned into a bit of an enterprise. We have our wonderful programs in Sacramento, a similar program happening in Reno. We have the camp. All told, we are now serving over 30,000 youth a year.
That's amazing.
And, in the middle of winter, our staffing is about 20, 25 full-time staff. Now, in the middle of summer, where we find ourselves now, that balloons out to 90, 95 staff with, housekeeping and kitchen at camp. All of our educators are wonderful summer camp counselors. And so, it's turned into quite the enterprise.
Yeah, it's amazing. Is Jonathan still with us?
Jonathan has moved to Colorado. I have him in my phone.
Wait, you come from Colorado, he goes to Colorado?
That's right. Way to connect the dots there. That's true. I think that was coincidental, but Jonathan and I stay up to date. Yeah.
Good. He's got to be amazed with what's happening.
Oh, he is. I mean, it's unbelievable, and I know Jonathan's family well, and so I love to call them and give them updates because there's been so much change, since they were here, and great story.
We'll continue with Sean Hill and Corrie Calderon of Sierra Nevada Journeys after we head inside for a brief break to hear from the people who make these conversations possible.
I'm James Beckwith, President and CEO of Five Star Bank. We're dedicated to supporting nonprofit organizations who advocate for the strength, resilience, and vitality of those they serve. When nonprofit organizations thrive, our community does too. By supporting the Nonprofit Podcast Network, Five Star Bank is amplifying the voices and meaningful impact of our nonprofit community. We're Five Star Bank, a trusted nonprofit partner. How can we help you?
We are really excited to be part of the family and contribute to the work that you all are doing. CORE provides fractional and interim executive services, along with comprehensive back-office solutions that go into our client sites and do the work to give them the capacity they need in order to move through transitions, whether that's planned or unplanned. Or companies also work with our accounting and finance, back-office solutions, human resources, technology, and administration. The reason why our back office solutions add value is because we save them time and money, anywhere from 20 to 30% of what they would spend on that back office solution. We work in it so they can actually work on it. CXORE.com and contact me directly at dteat@cxore.com.
If you're interested in learning more about how CORE may help your organization, visit CXORE.com.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
At Western Health Advantage, healthcare isn't just a service. It's a shared value. As a nonprofit leader, you need a health plan that understands the importance of mission-driven work. Western Health Advantage is a local, not-for-profit health plan that supports organizations like yours with affordable, flexible coverage options for your team. But what truly sets them apart is their commitment to community, supporting nonprofits like the American Heart Association, Sacramento Ballet, and the Crocker Art Museum's Pay What You Wish Sundays. With access to top-tier providers and dedicated local support, Western Health Advantage is more than a health plan. It's a partner in your purpose. Explore your options today at westernhealth.com. Western Health Advantage, healthcare with heart, designed for those who give back. If somebody comes around, I mean, you've already gotten this 1,500 acres in the course of the last couple of years, they go, Sean, we have a check for you, and it doesn't have a number. Give us a reason to sign it off, give it to you, an unlimited budget. What would you do? What would it look like?
Unlimited budget to me means that we are able to continue to serve youth that have historically not had the access to these experiences. So the first thing that comes to mind is our scholarship fund. I want to make sure our scholarship fund is healthy and stays healthy. Last year, one proxy that we use for youth that are underserved are how many kiddos that we served are eligible for free or reduced lunch at their schools. And last year in 2025, 59% of the youth we served organization-wide were eligible for free or reduced lunch. So I would like to see that number continue to tick up, and scholarship funding would allow us to do that. Now, there's a few other things, there's a few other dreams that we have, including doing some forest management work around our camp and then building a cutting-edge program for youth to learn about that, about forest health and wildfire resilience and climate. So that's a really exciting vision that I would love to see funded as well. And then there's other stuff too, of course.
Oh, I'm sure you can come up with a million ideas,
I have others.
There's a list.
Yeah, we have a list.
Like some roads, and you can either pave or gravel this over here to get access to where it's difficult today. I can only imagine.
I always wanted us to have a whole bus fleet, personally.
There you go.
While we're making wishes, yes.
Right?
And Corrie and I really align on this too. At the end of the day, our programs are what they are because of the wonderful staff that we attract. And so I ultimately want to make sure that we're able to take care of our staff as well. And at camp, that might mean permanent staff housing. We want to be livable at least, but competitive wages.
Yes.
We want to have great benefits. All of those things. It's really part of the picture of a successful organization.
And we certainly see that as the recognition and acceptance of nonprofits as businesses is becoming more and more prevalent by necessity.
Right.
I mean, they should be. It's not a vow of poverty because you work for a nonprofit. And, your skills and talent, training, education, all of that transfers both ways, whether it be nonprofit or commercial business. So we have to be competitive. We have to see that people can do what they should be able to do competitively, whether nonprofit or not. And I can't stress that enough because so many times we hear, no, we need to see 98%, 91%, 95% of all the money going to the mission. No, that's
we
not.
We have overhead.
Right. And that is those unrestricted pieces of contribution that require support.
Yeah.
And they're necessary. And if you don't get the best talent, then maybe it's not going to be the best run organization. And in order to compete for the best talent, you have to be competitive. So, I appreciate that you say that because it's so true.
Oh, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back to reality of the dream now is today. What is the greatest need that you're faced with?
I think Corrie mentioned it earlier. We have high demand in the Sacramento area for our Classrooms Unleashed program. And that is a program where we're directly interacting and serving, our focus populations. And so being able to sort of unlock that access for those schools, that's a day-to-day reality that we talk about.
I mean, if there's a world where we could offer these programs free of charge, that would be incredible. And if there's a world where we can eliminate any barriers to accessing transportation. We've had multiple schools this year cancel last minute because they realized that they couldn't afford a bus. And so when I'm saying we should get a bus fleet, I'm not joking. So yeah, just if we can, just eliminating any of those barriers so that we can get to more schools and more grade levels. And yeah, hopefully busing wouldn't be an issue in that.
And let me ask you a question. If you know the answer, roughly what it might cost, what's a bus hold? 50-some students? The typical bus you might see come up-ish?
50 to 60, yeah.
Two classes typically, especially if they're little.
Right. And so from Sacramento to camp and back, what would a bus run?
Well, a charter bus runs in the thousands for that trip.
Yeah.
And a school bus, I think it's probably $1,000, $1,500.
It's, I think, $10 to $20 per student.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you go,
Yeah.
$600 to $1,200
Right.
or something, yeah. And, some districts have the ability, Twin Rivers certainly has the ability, and they earmark those buses for those programs. And then some districts, particularly charters or smaller private districts, they have to use those charter buses. Yeah.
Okay. But it gives us an idea.
Yeah.
So somebody who's listening says, well, I can at least fund a school that needs a bus and take care of that so that that group of kids who have all the other pieces in place just need the transportation.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity there as well.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit more about how to get in touch with you guys to do that. Give me an example. I'm sure you both have seen situations of your impact. And I want to relate it to a story of a child in some way, shape, or form that so-and-so or so, and I'm sure you have many because you've seen enough of it, 8 years and 17 years.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Corrie, why don't you start?
Okay. Yeah.
I can see you're
We
fired
both
up.
have lots of stories.
I get so excited about this question, and it's just why I've stuck with this work for so long. And so I think about a child who may not thrive in the classroom, and this is a student who may not always get along with their peers. We talked about those four walls. They may not thrive within those four walls. And often when I was an educator, teachers would come up to me before a field trip and say, we are thinking about leaving so-and-so at the school. We're just a little concerned about certain behaviors. We just wanted to warn you. So hopefully they do okay on the field trip today. And, I always try to keep an open mind, like, all right, I'll take on that challenge. I'm excited to meet this student. So, the students get to the field site. Let's say this is a group of third graders we're talking about. We're at Riverbend Park. They get off the bus. We're doing our opening circle. We're doing some icebreakers. And this challenging student is in my group. And they're really slow to open up. And maybe they're isolating themselves from the group. Maybe they're saying things like, why do I have to be here? This is stupid. It's too hot. It's too cold. Whatever it is, they're complaining about being on this field trip. But, I'm determined to get to know them and, show them the beauty around them. And so we finish up our safety talk. We get in our trail groups and we head to the trail. We're among the oaks. We're near the river. And the students are starting to use those observation skills we talked about. They're pointing out the wildlife. Maybe we see some caterpillars among the pipevine. Maybe we're seeing a bird's nest high up in the tree, and they're pointing all these things out, finding evidence of habitats. This is our habitat ecology unit. And then this student that I was referring to earlier happens to see a deer cross the path, and all the students get so excited, and I told them we have to be quiet around the wildlife, so they're hushed, but they're excited and trying not to yell, but you can just see all of the students are lighting up, and this student in particular is like, Miss Corrie, did you see that? It jumped so high. How did it move so fast? I've never seen a deer before. And so I just kind of see this kid's demeanor change. And throughout the rest of the field trip, they're becoming more curious. They're the ones pointing out, oh, did you see that butterfly? Or they're picking up the cool rocks and showing their friends. So then field trip goes on. We make our way down to the river. Everyone takes a break, takes a sip of water. We have our lunch. And the whole group is just so zen. And, they're seeing the light glimmer on the water. They're seeing the ducks across the way. And I can tell they're just they're being present. and they're noticing the beauty around them. And so we finish up lunch, and usually we have time for one more activity before we have to get back on the bus. And so one of my favorites is building tiny habitats. So the students are supposed to design a model tiny habitat for a deer that includes everything they need to survive: food, water, shelter, space, and how the deer can deal with environmental change. And so they're given this challenge, and they work as peer groups. And the student actually joins one of their peer groups and helps create this really creative habitat that's built out of sticks and leaves and rocks. And I always have the students present their habitat at the end. And the student I've been referring to is the one that wants to present and talk about all the cool features in their tiny habitat. And so they present, and you can just tell they're so proud of their work, and they were able to share that with their peers. So we finish up, we continue on, we start walking back to the buses, and my final question for the students is always just a reflection question of, what was your favorite part? Any key takeaways? And at this point, the student is eager to be at the front of the line, wants to talk to me. And so I asked them, what was your favorite part? And they just say, everything. This was the best field trip ever.
The best day of my life.
Yeah. And it sounds so cliche, but like that student represents hundreds, if
Yes.
not thousands of students who have had that experience, who have truly transformed over the course of just a 3-hour-long field trip. And so it's moments like that where I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm in the right place.
Made a difference today.
Yes, this work is so meaningful, and we see it all the time. So that's what success looks like to me.
Yeah.
I love that story because we have everybody that has led these trips,
Yeah.
we have all been there where the teacher warned you about a
About
kid.
that student.
And now,
That would have been me.
yeah, right. And now I know when they warn me about that kid, oh, that's the kid that's going to be transformed. That's the kid that's going to be
Yes.
the leader, without fail.
Not to
Yeah.
mention, I'm going to focus on that kid.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that kid is that
Exactly.
kid.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
a great experience. And so to piggyback on a wonderful story, I had the opportunity to meet, people ask us, do you have long-term data? Do you have long-term data? And we have great snapshot data. We do pre and post assessment. We evaluate our programs. We ask the teachers how it went. We have the students reflect written. But the thing is, since we work with minors, it's very hard for us to track them over time. Once they leave our program, we can't, legally track them. And so what we've been doing is talking to former participants years down the road. We've been around long enough now. And so I recently spoke with a young person, Veronica, and Veronica's 26 now. She came to Sierra Nevada Journey's Our Outdoor Education Camp in 2010. This is early days of our camp program. Veronica was a 5th grader at the time. 26 right now. They've just received their presidential fellowship at the University of Vermont. It's one of fewer than 5 students awarded full funding for their PhD. And I asked Veronica what she remembered about camp. And I've been telling this story lately because it's awesome. Aside from great memories of being outdoors, Veronica talked about the ORT report. And the
what?
So the ORT report. So the ORT report is something, it's a camp tradition we do when the kids are done eating, because we feed the kids, right? They're there at overnight camp. We're feeding them in the lodge. When they're done eating at a meal, they all have to pile the food that they did not finish onto one tray, and we weigh it. And that demonstrates their food waste. And so we're trying to build intention around taking only what you need and what you will finish. Mm-hmm. So Veronica remembers the ORT report. So Veronica mentioned that the ORT activity upon reflection provided an early lesson on intentionality and privilege. And Veronica's focus of study today is food security and the social determinants of health. So I'm not saying it's only because of that reason, because of the ORT report, because of her camp experience, but it might have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
And her focus of study now is directly related to what Veronica told us was their best memory from camp, or one of their memories from camp.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I know, it's amazing.
And even beyond that, it gives those kids who maybe don't see themselves in a particular role the ability to see that, oh, you can make a living doing this?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I want to do that when I grow up. Mm-hmm. Maybe I can do that. Because if they don't see it, they'll never know that they have the opportunity to explore that as a career in some way, shape, or form, or even as a hobby.
Yeah.
And in any event, it's great.
Yeah.
Right. And you think about the litany of global issues that our world is facing
Right.
right now, many of which having to do with the environment. And so we really feel like it's the next generation. We're trying to bend the arc of the next generation so that they're better prepared to handle those issues.
Well, and you look at Veronica, 26 years old, 2010. That's amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing. And you have to know that the impact, something happened there that was a trigger that stayed. You know, and it stuck with her now into what's going to be a professional career.
Right.
In a place where we really need
In a place
help.
where we need help.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the goal. That's the dream.
Pretty darn neat. Pretty darn neat. All right. This is going to be for you, Sean. As a CEO of an organization, a nonprofit that serves, you know, a variety of different constituents, and the funding nature of it all, there's always pressure. And this is to give people a little bit more, although I think we know pretty well just from your history, you know, what's the personal life of Sean like? So we go a little bit beyond. We go beyond the mission here, and these
Bring it.
Fire these at you.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's have some fun, and some I triggered on purpose just for fun. All right, beach, mountain, city, or road trip?
Mountain.
I knew you were going to say that.
I know. I had to give him that one. We've got about 5 options.
That's a layup.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, go to comfort food.
Okay, steak and enchiladas.
Okay, good.
Let's
I'm
go.
glad you didn't say berries. I was going to have a problem.
Huckleberries.
Right, right. Favorite movie of all time?
Let's see. I'll go with Goonies.
Really?
Yeah, Goonies.
Oh, my
From my
gosh.
childhood.
Yeah, okay. Yep. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
This is a humble brag, but I'll say it's that I ride centuries. So I cycle now to stay in shape, and so I try to bag 2 or 3 centuries a year on my bicycle.
You're not alone.
You're
Oh,
among
nice.
us.
Oh, we should go on
Another
a ride.
cyclist.
Yeah.
I'm training for the Mammoth right now. You ever do the Mammoth?
I've not done Mammoth. I've done Death Ride.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I haven't done that one yet.
Oh, it's a blast.
We got to talk, Jeff.
Yes, we do. What is your favorite way to reset after a long day?
I think it's pretty simple. My wife and I, when we moved, we used to live here in Sacramento, and now we live in Reno. You know, Sierra Nevada Journeys is all over the place. But we moved to a place that's close to the river. And so, again, you know, resetting, outdoor experiences, we try to do walks by the river as much as we can. So it's simple, boring, but it works.
Who's someone who shaped how you lead? It's fun for staff, too. They give...
Well, you know, this is maybe approaches sad, but in a way to get to the answer of that, my father was sort of in his final few weeks and months when I became the CEO of Sierra Nevada Journeys. And he had never been a like give you advice kind of guy. And I remember, and he was kind of in and out, you know, there was some dementia there. And so, but he always, you know, knew who I was. And he asked me how it was going one of those days. And I said, well, Dad, I'm becoming CEO of Sierra Nevada Journeys. And he gave me what was like the best advice he'd ever given me. And almost on his deathbed, he said, if you have power, don't abuse power. That was his simple words of advice. And I'm like, wow, this was poignant. This was meaningful. This was in a space where he was in and out of sort of consciousness. And so that was I attribute some great advice from my dad. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing this work, this one I want to hear. If you weren't doing this work, what would you be doing?
Probably traveling, hiking in the Alps.
Oh, wait.
I got to see that recently, and I'm hooked. My family, I just
They
went
do
on.
call the Sierras the Alps of California.
I see it, and now it's funny, I have a Chamonix shirt now, a T-shirt that I got in Chamonix, and people are coming out of the woodwork telling me all about their trip to Chamonix. But yeah, I'd probably be hiking in the woods with my wife and my 2 kids. That's what we'd be doing. Or going to the beach. We like to visit the beach. San Diego is a favorite for us, swim in the ocean.
And then last question for you is, what's one thing you're excited about right now outside of work?
Well, I've been participating in a regional event called Art Town in Reno, Nevada. It's a month of art of everything that's art. So there's, theater, there's live music, there's still, there's sculpture, there's all kinds of events every single day. And that my mom comes to visit us every year in July so we can just do Art Town. And so we saw a bluegrass band last night. We saw a gospel band a couple nights ago. And so I'm really doing a lot of Art Town stuff right now when I'm not at work.
Oh, very neat.
Yeah.
You just gave a plug for a little event that's happening in Reno.
That's right. That's right.
And
You're
we're
welcome,
recording
Reno.
this at about the middle of July. So every year I would imagine this thing takes place middle of July in Reno.
That's
okay.
right. Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody's interested in supporting the organization, what's the best way to get in touch with you guys, learn more about what's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way to do it is to go to our website, sierranevadajourneys.org.
Up on the screen.
Now, I have a place on the website that this wasn't my idea, but I love it. Lisa, our marketing director, did it. You can click a button that says "Have coffee with the CEO."
That was my next question.
Yes.
You saw that on the sheet. That's
Well,
why.
or you saw that on the website.
I did see it on the website. I think that's great. I love that.
Every time somebody reaches out, I always go and have that cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, you never know where that's going to lead. I did one earlier this summer, and a dad had reached out because his daughter was signed up for a camp, and I went and had coffee with him, and he brought his daughter, and he wanted me to do a mock interview for her. She's a teenager. It was our leadership camp. But anyway, you just never know where it's going to lead, and I was happy to help that, to be a part of that experience with that family. But yes, if you would like to touch base with me personally, I'd love to take you out for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I think it's so important and impressive when a leader of an organization actually really engages to that point. Call me.
Yeah.
I'll have coffee with you. Whatever the situation is where that tactile engagement is there, it makes it so much more meaningful for everybody. And that story gets told. You're not going to believe it. I reached out and the guy actually went to coffee with me and I had a great conversation.
Yeah.
And that goes tenfold, just into the environment.
Well, I am the chief cheerleader. I am the chief champion. I don't work with students as much anymore, but I realize that it is my job to make sure that I'm out there talking about our mission in the community. So it's anytime. Happy to do that.
You have long-term employees. Corrie, 8 years, which is, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You 17, and I would imagine you could tell the story of so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so who have all been here for.
Oh, we've got a few.
We do.
I would imagine.
Yep, we do.
It's cultural. You've done a great job putting that together.
Well, it's the staff and board and community that's been a part of it the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we all know our environment is challenged and it needs all the help it can get. And giving so many of our youth an opportunity to really experience nature in so many ways is more than just a nice practice. It's more than just an engagement. It's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
We need people to understand what's happening so that there's somebody coming up to work to, lack of better description, repair it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've damaged something, and if you're not aware of it, if you don't realize what the consequences are, it doesn't get done.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys are doing. And your team, did you say 40?
We're 25 to 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I split the middle.
Yes. Yeah, that's great.
But for all the people that work with you and what you're doing for those youth in the awareness and the recognition, thank you, because it's so necessary, and we appreciate it.
Wow. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Let's
Got
go make
goosebumps.
Let's go make something better.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Love it.
Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. We hope today's episode inspired you and gave you a deeper look into the work of our local nonprofits. If you believe in our mission to amplify their voices, please take a moment to leave us a positive review and share this episode with a friend. It helps more people discover the incredible work happening in our community. And don't miss future episodes. Subscribe to our weekly updates and monthly newsletter at nonprofpod.com. And if you're part of a nonprofit that would like to be featured, we'd love to hear from you. Just visit the Guests tab on our website. The Nonprofit Podcast Network is recorded and produced at Hear Me Now Studio with generous support from our outstanding partners. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. Online at captrust.com. Western Health Advantage, local care with community impact. Find the plan that fits at westernhealth.com. CORE, executive leadership and comprehensive support services. Visit cxore.org. nonprofitbank.com. And 5 Star Bank, a local trusted advisor to community nonprofits for over 25 years. 5starbank.com.